Is it worth it to buy an Inteleon League Battle Deck? Let's find out. Welcome back everyone to more from the Sableyes. I'm Mitch and today we're going to take a look at the Inteleon V League Battle Deck. This product is a great place to start if you're looking to get into the competitive side of Pokemon TCG, and it comes with a lot of stuff that is incredibly good for the standard format. We'll jump onto PTCGO and check out the contents of the deck, then we'll take a look at how you can upgrade it to be competitive on the standard ladder. And as we open up the deck list, we can see this product is quite incredible. Just bear in mind, the Inteleon Vs, you actually get the regular version, not the full art, but I don't have the regular version, so I couldn't put it in there. This product is incredible. You get yourself 2 copies of Inteleon V and Inteleon V Max, which is a pretty solid Pokemon in standard format right now. Hydro Snipe for 1 water energy deals 60 and then removes an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon and puts it back in your opponent's hand, which is very, very good for controlling the pace of play. And Max Bullet does 160 damage for 3 energy and deals 60 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. And I'll tell you right now that that attack is actually really, really strong. At the moment, in standard format, it is a little bit weak because of the prevalence of electric type cards like Pikachu and Zekrom Tag Team GX, but once rotation happens in a few months' time, Inteleon is set to be quite a strong attacker. You get 2 of those, which is great. You also get a 3-2 line of Ice Dance Frostmoth, which is really cool. It combines quite nicely with that Inteleon. Ice Dance means as often as you like, during your turn, you can attach a water energy from your hand to one of your benched water Pokemon. So what you do is you have a Frostmoth in play, you have an Inteleon VMAX on your bench, and you accelerate energy so that you can get 3 onto this Inteleon nice and quickly. It's a really, really good combo, but combine that with a 3-1-2 line, I believe it is. No, I think it's a 3-2-2 line. I think I've just got the wrong amount of cards in there. A 3-2-2 line of Shady Dealings Inteleon. This is the second half of the deck, which is equally good. Shady Dealings, the ability means that when you play this from your hand to the field, you get to search your deck for 2 trainer cards and put them into your hand. That's incredible as an ability, a fantastic way of getting things like supporters or items, whatever it is that you need to get one of your attackers attacking. And also, you've got Aqua Bullet for 2 energy, does 120 damage plus 20 to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. It's kind of like a slightly worse version of Max Bullet, but it is coming from a 1 prize Pokemon. Be aware as well that the Drizzile in this line also has Shady Dealings, except you can only find 1 trainer instead of 2, but still incredibly strong. The rest of the deck, like seriously, I'm looking at this thing and I'm seeing a number of incredibly good standard legal cards. It comes with 4 Professor's Research, which is normally a 4 of in every deck that is played, even the top tier ones. You've got 3 copies of Marnie, again a fantastic card. Shuffle your hand to the bottom of your deck and draw 5 and your opponent draws 4, is very, very strong and very popular. You have 3 copies of Boss's Orders. I believe it's a different art to this one, but I'm not entirely sure. Switch your opponent's active Pokemon with one of their benched Pokemon, which is great to be able to deal nice knockouts with Max Bullet. And we also have 2 copies of Birdkeeper as a nice bonus supporter. Very, very strong set of cards. Also, keep in mind you get 4 Quick Ball in this product as well, which is another card that almost every standard legal deck plays. Now, if you want, stop right here, grab this product. I believe its MSRP is about $15-25 bucks. I can't remember exactly how much it is, but it's relatively cheap for what it is. You can legitimately take this thing straight out of the box and play it on the standard ladder with absolutely no problems. If you jump across to Cilio's network, Luke actually plays this deck with no changes and wins against a couple of pretty strong decks in standard. So you could totally do that, but if you want to slightly upgrade this deck list, then I will do that for you. We'll take a look at the slightly upgraded deck now. Now, I say slightly upgraded, it is really only slightly upgraded. Essentially, all I've done is I've gone through and taken out some of the cards that maybe aren't as useful in this kind of deck and removed them, and then just increased counts of other cards to make sure that you've got the best chance of attacking with your main attacker as frequently as possible. The first and probably most important thing that I would recommend doing is finding space for another 2 Inteleon V and another Inteleon V Max to get you to a 4-3 line. This is your main attacker, so you want to have that as frequently as possible. To be honest, the rest of the Pokemon line's pretty good as it is, so I've just added in an extra Drizzile with Shady Dealings just to increase the chances of me getting into that, and then that's pretty much it. I removed the Suicune and one of the Zigzagoons as well. The other thing that I've done is I've just fattened out some of these counts of Pokemon Search. I replaced the Great Balls and the Evolution Incenses with Pokemon Communication, but to be honest, you don't even really need to do that. You can simply use the ones that are provided for you. I also added in an extra copy of Training Court because getting energy is quite important, but beyond that, that's pretty much all I've done. I think I added in some Scoop Up Nets, but to be honest, they might have already been in the deck anyway. So, a really, really good deck. This one, like I said, is slightly improved. It's probably not that much better, to be honest, than the one that you get with your deck, but it will get you wins on the standard format ladder. I'll jump across into a couple of games now and show you how this deck is going to work. Okay, so we're going to get started here. We've got a decent start with a Snom in the active. I'm going to play Capacious Bucket and grab a couple of energies and get myself set and ready here. We might also calm away the VMAX. We don't really need that now. I'm just going to get myself my basic V out. This is something that you probably want to look to do as frequently as you possibly can. Get those basic Pokemon out as early as possible. For that reason, I'm going to grab another little Sobble. We'll chuck that onto the bench. We'll attach to the Inteleon, and we will pass the turn there. Now, if you want to play along with this deck, it is down in the description, so you can copy that one straight into PTCGO and play along with me. If you'd like to, whilst you're down there, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button. If you do that, then I will give you a virtual high five. Just like that. It's one of the most important things that you can do to support your favorite content creator. It is literally the most beneficial thing. Like, subscribing and stuff actually doesn't make that big of a deal, but still do that. That would be great, but, you know, like the video. And there's also like Twitter links and Discord links if you want to jump in with a whole bunch of people that are playing Pokemon TCG. There's a link to my Discord there as well. You can get involved over there. Now, what is our opponent playing? I'm seeing a Giant Hearth and a Fire Energy. I also saw a Lightning Energy go into that discard pile, so we could be playing literally anything. I have seen a couple of Victini, Pikarom, Mewtwo-y type decks floating around, so this could potentially be that. We do see the Mewtwo coming out, so that is a bit of a concern. Now, if it's got Victini in it, then Inteleon VMAX should be a really good attacker. We'll be able to take a straight-up knockout on one of our opponent's Victinis if they elect to play them down. Ironically, Victini's also a very good attacker against Inteleon, so that could be the direction they want to go. To be honest, though, they probably want to focus on their Lightning-type Pokemon. Inteleon is weak to them, so that would be a really rough place for us to be. If they do have Lightning Pokemon, which it appears they do, they have that Lightning Energy, then we could be in a little bit of trouble. But to be honest, looks like this one is more focused on Welder. Maybe they've got a couple of Tech Lightning attackers in the deck instead, just to kind of spice it up, I suppose. So we'll hopefully get to see a decent effort here. Now, we can do a couple of things next turn with our current hand. We can evolve the Frostmoth. The Snom in the active can evolve into Frostmoth and then attach the Water Energy using our ability, or we could Pokecom away the Frostmoth to grab a VMAX and attach manually. And depending on what our opponent does here, we may be forced to do that. It looks like they're actually going to switch into the Heatran and take that option away from us. So they're just going to Steaming Stomp and knock out the Snom here. That makes our decision really easy. We can just Pokecom away the Frostmoth, grab ourselves an Inteleon VMAX, and then start attacking. We're not going to be able to take a knockout, but we can deal 120 damage to this Heatran, so I do feel pretty good about that. And we have a Drizzile as well here. It's an interesting one. We could use that to grab ourselves a couple of things, to be honest. But honestly, our hand is pretty solid as it is. We might evolve that Drizzile and just take a look and see what we can get. Might be worth just replacing the stadium potentially. Maybe we can just get the training court and get rid of the giant hearth, just so it makes it a little bit harder for them to find energy. And then we will play Marnie, considering we don't really need to do too much else this turn. We've also got a quick ball in our hand. We could play that to grab another Snom, and I feel like that's probably not a bad idea with the Frostmoth in our hand, the Snom on the bench. And then we can just Hydro Snipe. Well, actually, we should grab an energy with our training court first. Then we can just Hydro Snipe, deal 120 damage, remove one of the energies from this Heatran, and make it just that little bit more difficult for them to be a bit creative, you know, try and take those knockouts down the line. Now, this 120 damage might seem like it's a bit of a waste, but to be honest, it could come up really, really clutch in this matchup, with Max Bullet dealing 160 damage and then 60 to the bench. If our opponent decides to retreat, then we will be able to deal 60 more damage to this Heatran, putting it on 180 HP, and then use a Zigzagoon, which we also have in the deck, to ping 10 damage onto that Heatran and knock it out. So maybe that's a way that we could deal with it. Looks like that Flareon got... So I'm more convinced now that that Lightning Energy is just there as a bit of an extra way to accelerate. Looks like they're more likely to be Weldering than not against me here, which is good, frankly, because if we were playing up against lightning attackers, then I would be very, very frightened. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. They're attaching to the Heatran, benching another Mewtwo, and then grabbing an energy out of the deck with Energy Spinner. So a lightning energy, and then they'll probably discard those if they can. That feels like what they've been doing here, like leading up to a professor's research. But that's not going to be the case. Okay, so we're in a dominant position now. We should... Oh, we're down to boss's orders as well. That makes this decision just that little bit more difficult. We're going to attach for sure. I think... Oh, because we can potentially take a knockout onto Dene and put this Heatran within 10 HP of being knocked out. We'll evolve into the Frostmoth because we know we're going to do that. Research is just such a powerful move here, though. I think we just research. We can just take the knockout in the active. They have absolutely nothing. We had the Zigzagoon there, so the boss would have worked. But that's okay. We'll just accelerate some energy onto our Inteleon that we've just managed to get off of that research. And then we can Max Bullet and put some damage onto our opponent's bench Dedenne and take the knockout on the active Heatran. We are 2 prizes in front, which is fantastic. And that Dedenne will eventually be knocked out by us at some point, you would think. We'll be able to get enough Max Bullet attacks off to knock that out. Now, a couple of things about my upgraded version of Inteleon. I've tried to keep it super affordable, right? So that you, as a new player who's just bought the Inteleon V League Battle Deck, can go, okay, I've got a couple of extra cards added in here, and now my deck is slightly more consistent. But there are some other cards that you can add to this to make it that much better. Firstly, cards like the Dedenne GX, which we see on our opponent's side of the field, Crobat V, which we see on our opponent's side of the field. You could grab those to give you a little bit more consistency. I don't have that, which means that I'm slightly more unlikely to draw cards, but that's not that big of a deal. Another thing that you could do is you could add in a card called Telescopic Sight, which is a really, really cool card for Inteleon in particular, because what it does is it adds an extra 30 damage to the damage you're dealing to benched V and GX Pokemon. So in our last turn, I will just evolve into the Inteleon here. In our last turn, we would have been able to put the Dedenne on 90 HP instead of on 60, which would have been very good. Now, what are we doing here? What's the best play? We can use Pokemon Communication. We'll get rid of the Sobble, I think, and we'll grab Inteleon. Now, what I'm thinking is that we could have bossed last turn, but I think I'm going to boss this turn. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Scoop Up Net and Boss's Orders. And the reason for that is I'm going to be able to boss up our opponent's Crobat here. And then I will use Zigzagoon twice. I'll put 10 damage onto the Crobat. Then I'll use the Scoop Up Net to pick up the Zigzagoon and place it back down. This way, we put 20 damage on the Crobat. It means that our Max Bullet will knock out the Crobat, and I'll put 60 more onto that Dedenne, and I will be 1 attack away from just winning this game, which is a really, really powerful place to be. And if we had that Telescopic Sight, we would have actually just won, because we would have been able to deal enough damage to knock out the Dedenne, which would have been fantastic. But next turn, we should be able to win. So they've got the Mewtwo in the active. They'll probably be able to knock us out. But as long as we find one energy, and as long as our opponent doesn't bench something like a Mew, then we will be able to knock this Dedenne out next turn, and it will put us in, well, it'll put us in a winning position. We'll have taken all 6 of our prizes. So you cannot argue with that. It seems to be quite a good spot for us here. Now, our opponent, again, looking for some energy. They want to Welder, I think, and they'll be able to do that. But the question is, are they going to be able to do anything to stop that bench damage? If they can't, then the game is simply over. We'll just take the knockout. So they're going to have to come up with something here. Like, we have almost everything we need on the field. We just need one more energy. Shady Dealings could actually... Oh, no, it couldn't. It couldn't. Not Shady Dealings. Aqua Bullet. I was just double checking. Could Aqua Bullet do the job? I don't think it actually can. I think it would just miss. Miss by 20, yeah. Okay, so the Mewtwo and Mew has 4 energy on it now. They're looking for a one-shot onto this Inteleon with Flare Strike. Now all we need to do is find one energy in my deck. So one energy card, and we will win this game. We'll promote our Frostmoth, because we can attach the Air Balloon to the Frostmoth and give it free retreat. Look at that. We've managed to top deck into the energy. To be fair, it was likely we were going to get that anyway. We had the research, so we could have gone and found some extra cards. But we found the energy, we max bullet and take the knockout on the Dedenne on the bench. And that is game for Inteleon. You can see just how strong this card really is. Okay, we are up against a Zacian in the active. And they have a Metal and Dragon deck box. So if you have played the online trading card game before, you probably know what we're up against here. We are likely up against an ADP deck. Now, if our Inteleon deck can manage to beat ADP, good grief, what's just happened with my hair there? Jiminy Jillikers. If we can beat ADP with Inteleon, then this thing is legit. Because ADP is probably one of the best decks in the game right now. They've had a really slow start, so it's going to give us a really strong chance to get in and win this game. Now, we'll attach to Inteleon. We will evolve into Drizzile. We can either grab Scoop Up Net, or we could grab a... what are we going to do here, actually? Let's evolve. I mean, we're going to evolve it anyway, and we want to use Shady Dealings. I think we might go for just like an Air Balloon or a Scoop Up Net, to be honest. I think an Air Balloon is fine. We will we'll attach the Air Balloon. We're looking for an Energy and a Frostmoth, but we don't get the Frostmoth, so unlucky there. We will retreat, though, into our Inteleon. We want to put some damage down where we can, so let's take 60 damage on this Zacian, and hopefully that comes up later on. It means that Zacian is now on 160 instead of 220 HP, which means maybe we could knock it out with a max bullet next turn, potentially. But it looks to me like our opponent just needed that one extra turn to get going. They've managed to find the ADP. They've managed to get the energy onto the ADP, so they'll be able to use the Altered Creation GX attack here. And our kind of slow start has hampered us a bit here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach to the Inteleon on the bench, I think. And to be honest, we probably just Marnie. Now, I'm attaching to the Inteleon on the bench because what I want to do next turn, or this turn, is I want to Hydro Snipe away their water energy. Because that's going to make it as hard as possible for our opponent to get another attack off this turn. So I will remove that water energy, we'll return it to their hand, and now they're going to need a water energy plus a metal saucer and an energy switch to get their attack off this turn, to get their ultimate ray off. And if they miss the ultimate ray, then we have a really strong chance of being able to get ourselves far enough in front that we can win this game. And it looks like they've managed to do it again. So, to be honest, we're probably just going to do the exact same thing. We're going to attach the Air Balloon. We're going to attach the energy to our benched Inteleon. We will play the Drizzile or the Marnie. Do we need anything with Drizzile? I don't think we do. This is a tough choice. I think we just play the Drizzile just to have played it, to be honest. We'll grab a trainer. And then we might just grab a quick ball, to be honest. We might just quick ball away something in our hand that we don't want to keep, like a scoop up net. We can grab like another Sobble if we want to. Maybe Zigzagoon would have been helpful as well, but we can play the Sobble down and then we can Marnie again, force our opponent to only have 4 cards to work with, and we are looking very strong. We got the Inteleon in hand for next turn, and we can just Hydro Snipe and get rid of that water energy again. One more time, we're just forcing our opponent to get that triple combo. But now, next turn, we can attack with Max Bullet and take a knockout on the ADP, which not only... Oh my goodness, they got rid of 2 water energies there, so they don't even want the the attack with Ultimate Ray. They've gone, we can't be bothered. Fair enough. Looks like they're gunning through their deck now. They have the Metal Saucer. If they do manage to find the energy switch, then they'd be really quite upset with themselves. I'm going to quick ball away another ADP. You'd think that they'd just be grabbing something to thin out so that they can Dedenne this hand away. They're going to Escape Rope. We might just give our opponent, I don't know, the Sobble, I guess. It doesn't really matter for us. And here comes the Dedenne. So they haven't managed to find energy switch yet. But if they did find it, they'd be very upset that they got rid of that water energy. Here's another quick ball. Are we going to avoid another attack here? Sometimes ADP does just struggle like this, so... It looks like we might be able to... Yeah, we're going to. Okay, so... Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are in an incredibly interesting position because our opponent's given us so much time. We can do pretty much anything that we want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scoop up this Sobble. I don't really want to use it this turn, so that's a-okay. We can evolve the Inteleon and grab 2 trainers from the deck. I'm going to grab Pokemon and I'm going to grab, I think Boss is the correct choice. Then we can play down the Sobble. We can scoop up the Inteleon. We can calm. We'll get rid of the Sobble, I think, that's fine, and grab the Frostmoth. So we've got ourselves our Frostmoth in play finally. Then we'll Ice Dance and Energy on to our benched Inteleon. And now I'm thinking that Boss's Orders is the way. We could just actually Max Bullet here, to be honest. And just put some pressure on, because like I said last game, we could just use Zigzagoon to do the last 10 damage on this Mawile, which I honestly think is a pretty good idea. Now, I didn't really need that 60 damage, I don't think, on that ADP. I probably could have avoided that. It looks like they've got double energy switch here now, so they're finally going to be able to get their Ultimate Ray off. What I really should have done is I should have put that 60 damage onto the Zacian on the bench, because that would have been a much more useful 60 damage. But, you know, sometimes it just doesn't work out the way that you're planning. To be honest, though, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things here. We have so much momentum over our opponent that we are likely going to be able to easily win this matchup anyway. So, I'm feeling pretty good. We can evolve our Drizzile and grab ourselves another trainer. We'll do that. We're going to grab, oh, I don't know. What do we need? Training Court? Maybe? Yeah, let's grab the bucket instead. We can get the bucket going, because the bucket can give us another potential attacker. We can use the other Inteleon, the baby Inteleon. Alright, the Shady Dealings Inteleon, to potentially knock out something at some point. It will be able to get the knockout on the Mawile, and to be honest, if we gust up a... Let's get this Zacian here. If we gust up this Zacian, then maybe the Inteleon could actually take another knockout later. Let's have a look. That's on 240. It's going to be just off, I think. Yeah, we're gonna actually need to have... We're going to need a boss again. But that's okay. We can do that with the Inteleon in our hand. So it's all good. We actually don't need the Zigzagoon anymore, because we can just Aqua Bullet for the game, which is going to be fantastic. Okay, well, we can't, because now the Inteleon's gone, because they just manied us. Sometimes that happens. But we do have an Inteleon V regardless. We draw into another Inteleon, so it's fine. It doesn't matter. The game just wants us to win. Whew. Okay, so all we need now is to grab a boss out of the deck with our Inteleon, and we will be able to win this one quite comfortably. We would have been able to do it as well if we had managed to find a VMAX. but you know what? One attack with Shady Dealings Inteleon is probably good enough for me. I'm going to grab Boss and just another card, Pokemon, I guess. There's the Zigzagoon there. We don't really need it anymore. We will... Actually, do we... Oh, they've just conceded. I was about to say, do we need to do anything else? But no, we actually just win the game. So if you're trying to make the decision, should I buy the Inteleon League Battle Deck? Well, I tell you what, you'd be stupid not to, especially if you are a new player. It is an incredibly valuable product for you starting your competitive Pokemon TCG journey. If you're still watching and you enjoyed the video, thank you very much for coming along. Consider subscribing. There's all sorts of stuff on the channel for you to improve your Pokemon TCG gameplay. And if you are a regular viewer, then perhaps you might consider becoming a member. There's a join button down below. It costs $3 Australian. Australian dollars are worth nothing. They're worth like 6 pennies. I don't know how much an Australian dollar is worth, but it's less than a cup of coffee, I'll tell you that much. Thank you very much to all of my channel members, especially Dadbod and Azazel. You guys are superior to everyone else in every possible facet. You guys are immense. Fernando Yolo, Stephen, Agent Abel, Austin Josiah, Leaf Devourer, Robsy, Caster PD, Brad Shings, Brad, Justin, and Croc Otaku Gaming. Thank you for being supporters of the channel, as well as all of the other mega Sableyes who are listed in white on the screen. Thank you everyone for coming along, and I'll see you next time for more from the Sableyes. Catch you next time. Bye. That was a weird one. That was a weird outro. I'm going to leave this bit in as well. It's all very strange.